بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين نبينا محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين أما بعد. Respected brothers and elders, mothers and sisters, dear listeners in Islam, all praise belongs to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, who through His infinite grace and mercy and kindness upon us, Allah has blessed us with the wealth of Iman, with the kalima La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah. This is the greatest kalima. This is the greatest gift that any person can ever attain. There is no gift on this earth that a person can attain that is more valuable than this kalima. Because when a man has this kalima and he dies with this kalima, he's successful forever and ever and ever. My respected brothers and elders, mothers and sisters, we are in that time of the year, a few hours away from the month of Ramadan. The year passes by so quickly. We just remember we were in the last Ramadan, and this is actually a sign of Qiyamah, where the year starts feeling like a month, and the month feels like it is a week, and the week starts feeling like a day. You see someone for Jum'ah this week, and then you see him the next week, and it seems as if you saw him yesterday. This is the time as we're coming closer towards Qiyamah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala blesses this ummah of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam with this great and auspicious month, the month of Ramadan. It is known as a month, Shahrun Mubarakun, a month that is filled with blessings. Shahrul Rahmah, a month full of mercy. Shahrul Itqi Minan Niran. It is a month where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala emancipates thousands of souls from the fire of Jahannam. It is also known as Shahrul Quran, the month of the Quran. This month is also known as Shahrul Rahmah, the month where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala makes His mercy descend on this ummah of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. This month is also known as Shahrul Dua, the month where a person that is fasting, he makes dua and supplicates unto Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And at the same time, while it is Shahrul Dua, the ulama say it is also Shahrul Ijabah. In that month where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accepts and answers the du'as of those people that call unto Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It is also known as Shahrul Muwasat, that month where people show sympathy to one another. And Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam in one narration has also made mention that it is known as Shahrun yuzadu fihi rizqul mu'min. Shahrun yuzadu fihi rizqul mu'min. It is such an auspicious month, the month of Ramadan, that in this month Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala increases the sustenance and the rizq of a believer. This is a special month that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala brings to us. That's why, to sum it all up, this month is known as Sayyidul Shuhur. It is known as the leader of all the months. The ulama say, in the time of Jahiliyyah, prior to Islam coming, all the months were named by the Arabs. We say Muharram, Safar, Rabi'ul Awwal, all the months that we have in the Islamic calendar, they were named by the Arabs. But when it came to Ramadan, this is the month that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala named this month. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave the name and said Shahru Ramadan. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala named this month as Ramadan. What is the meaning of Ramadan? When you go back in the Arabic text to find out what is the root letters, it comes from Ra, Mim and Dad. Ra, Mim and Dad. Ramadan. In Arabic it stands as if we speak about something burned to ash. When something is burned to ash, we call it Ramadan. It's something that is totally destroyed, totally removed. The original form of it no more exists. This is when we say something is burned to ash. And this is the objective that Allah gives us Ramadan, with the sole objective that a person's sins are totally removed. so much mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Shahrul Maghfirah. So much of the forgiveness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in this month. That the person that starts this month, in the world system that we have, a person does a crime. And that crime remains on his records forever. Even if he wants to change, even if he wants to be a better person, even if he wants to, be a nice person and he changes for good, with a pure intention, if he pulls up a file of his name, all the crimes that he did in the past will come up. The system of Allah is very different. When Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala forgives, this is the maghfirah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He forgives a person in such a way as if that person has never sinned before. And this is the objective of this month of Ramadan. The ulama say the speciality of this month is fasting by day and performing taraweeh by night. This is the speciality of the month of Ramadan. And in the system of Islam, we have certain things which are known as mujiban. They are mandatory, they are compulsory, they have to take place. So if a person dies on Iman, it is necessary that this person, he will go to Jannah. Even if he has to go to Jahannam or whatever happens, at the ending, the person that dies on Iman, he dies on Tawheed, he will go to Jannah. And a person that dies on disbelief, on kufr, it is necessary that this person, although he has done a lot of good deeds, probably he was very generous in this world, or he was very nice and kind to the poor, and he was the person that was in charge to put the street lights and to build the roads and to give so much of charity, but he died on disbelief, he will go to Jahannam forever. This is mujiban. Then we have a next category which the ulama speak about, where there is no reward for such a person. This is a person, he makes no reward or no sin. A person, he makes an intention to do evil. If a person makes an intention to do evil, he will not get a sin written for him. He will not get a sin written for him. And on the other side, we have those actions which a person does. If he does the action, he will get one reward written for him. So we have a category in Islam of such actions. When a person does those actions, he will get one reward. For instance, if a person makes an intention to do a good action, he does not do the good action, he just makes an intention to do the good action, then one good deed will be written to his name. So this is one of the categories we have in Islam. We have a higher category than that. So this is one intention, you get one reward written to you. You get a category higher than this is when a person does the action, he gets 10 rewards recorded for him. Man jaa bil hasanati falahu ashru amthaliha. He does one good deed, he gets 10 rewards written to his name. We have a higher category in Islam, where a person does one deed and he'll get 700 rewards. One deed, one action, $1 spent in the path of Allah, and he will get 700 rewards. This is a category higher than that. And then we have a category higher than this is where the ulama say, an action a person does, لا يعلم ثوابه إلا الله. He does such an action that the reward of that action is only known to Allah. Only Allah knows the reward. So it's not in the category of getting 1-to-1 or 10-to-1 or 700-to-1, but it's in a category that Allah will reward him according to His jalal and His greatness, because he's doing the action only and solely for Allah. That's why the hadith states, "As-sawmu li wa ana ajzi bih." Fasting is for me, and I am the one that will reward the person that fasts. This is a special category where Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam has mentioned in his hadith Qudsi, where Allah states, "As-sawmu li wa ana ajzi bih." And some of the muhaddithin have stated, fasting is for me, wa ana ujza bih. Fasting is for me, and Allah says, I give the reward, I am the reward of the person that fasts. So slight little difference. One is Allah is rewarding a person, but Allah says, I am the reward for a person that is fasting. This is a great month that is in front of us to take maximum amount of benefit, like a businessman, and he looks at the season of doing business, and this is the prime time of his life. He knows, if I do business, imagine, for instance, we have a advert that is out on Bitcoin, for every cent that you invest, you'll get multiplied by thousands of times. People will start, looking for the quarters that they have in their car thrown on the floor, and they're picking up these quarters and trying to invest it in Bitcoin because the multiplication is going to be really high. This is a month, wallahi, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants to multiply the reward of His believers. It's a month that Allah says, تُفْتَحُ أَبْوَابُ السَّمَاءِ or تُفْتَحُ أَبْوَابُ الْجَنَّةِ. Both narrations are found. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala opens the doors of Jannah. وَتُغْلَقُ أَبْوَابُ النَّارِ وَتُغْلَقُ أَبْوَابُ جَهَنَّمِ. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala closes the doors of Jahannam. وَسُلْسِلَةُ الشَّيَاطِينِ and وَسُلْسِلَةِ الشَّيَاطِينِ and the shayateen are chained. The shayateen are locked up. It's such a time when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala makes it difficult. The shayateen, the evil and wretched shayateen that are there, it is difficult for them to whisper to that person and take him off the track. Obviously people still do a little evil. Why it happens? Because it's not the shayateen. The major shayateen are locked up in the month of Ramadan, but it is the nafs and the custom. People are custom and adi of doing those evils. So the nature of that person is to go to evil, and his nature is pushing him. It's not actually the whispering of shayateen. Allah has blessed us in coming to a very beautiful month, the month of Ramadan. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala help us and assist us, and let us benefit from this month properly for every moment that is in front of us. Wallahi, we don't know. There were so many brothers, they were with us last year in the month of Ramadan, and they became the beloveds of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So many people, and probably every person that is sitting here, they know so many family members, they know so many close and dear and near people in their family. Even personally myself, so many people that were close to us, they were here last year and they are not here this year. We don't know our own situation. We don't know if we will see another month of Ramadan. That's why we need to be wise enough and utilize our time correctly for this month of Ramadan. I want to make one important announcement, inshallah, before we close the program for today. Inshallah, tonight we discuss the moon sighting, inshallah. So this masjid, we follow the moon sighting. And as Muslims, we have been taught by Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam that we should sight the moon. The basis of the coming of Ramadan and the basis of the leaving of Ramadan when Shawwal comes, it's based on sighting of the moon. We have the hadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam which states, صُومُوا لِرُؤْيَتِهِ وَافْطِرُوا لِرُؤْيَتِهِ. So Ramadan comes in by us sighting the moon. We need to go out. This is a sunnah practice of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam, where we go out and we sight the moon. On the basis of sighting the moon is the time when Ramadan comes in. Ramadan does not come in because we read Maghrib Salat tonight, and it is the 29th of Sha'ban, and automatically it will be Ramadan. It does not happen that way. It is a group of people that need to go out and they need to sight the moon. On the basis of them sighting the moon, then Ramadan begins. And this is the sunnah practice. Now, unfortunately, there are certain people that have left out the sunnah of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and they are going towards calculation, where people make the decision that Ramadan will start in the next 10 years on a specific day. This program of doing calculation goes directly against the sunnah of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and this is very detrimental. In this deen of Islam will remain until the day of Qiyamah. Every command of Allah and Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam is complete. There is no space of adulteration or subtraction or addition in this deen. That's why a person should check their iman. We're going against a direct hadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam by saying that Eid can be on a specific day or Ramadan can be on a specific day. We cannot make these decisions. We have to do a practical sighting for the coming in of the month of Ramadan and for the leaving of the month of Ramadan. This is step number one. Step number two is this sighting cannot be done just by one individual. If one individual goes and he says, I sighted the month of Ramadan, I seen the moon, then his sighting is not sufficient, because the moon is up. The moon is in a place where no one can hide the moon. And the sighting has to be done by a jamme ghafir, by a group of people, not one individual, a group of people that we cannot say all of them are liars. and then we can establish the coming of the month of Ramadan, and we establish the month of Shawwal coming in, which is the day of Eid. So this cannot be done just by one individual saying, I sighted the moon. Because a few people, if you sighted the moon, I should be able to sight the moon, and he should be able to sight the moon, and all of us should be able to sight the moon. Because the moon is in a place, it's not hiding itself from anyone. And this is the Islamic practice. You know, it's so strange. It's so strange. I used to send my kids to public school, and a non-Muslim teacher will tell you as a Muslim that Ramadan comes in with the sighting of the moon. A non-Muslim. And she will say, after reading, you know, some scriptures from the Quran, and I read some ahadith, and I read a few books on Islam, the coming in of Ramadan and the leaving of Ramadan, a non-Muslim will tell you, is based on the sighting of the moon. صُومُوا لِرُؤْيَتِهِ وَافْطِرُوا. But today, the modern day Muslim, unfortunately, has left out the sunnah, thinking they're doing the right thing. And then people come and ask those people that are following the sunnah, why are you following the sunnah? Why don't those brothers and sisters and whoever have the query go to those people that are following calculation and say to them, why are you going against the sunnah? Why are you doing things against the sunnah? Why are you leaving the hadith out? What's the requirement when the moon is available and we can do a sighting? So we need to get our priorities in place. And unfortunately, it is a trend that people are leaving the sunnah. And if we leave one sunnah, we leave two sunnahs, we leave in which direction the sunnah is going. We need to be wary about this situation. We have to understand what we have to do and what is the requirement as Muslims in this deen of Islam. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam has taught us, صُومُوا لِرُؤْيَتِهِ وَافْطِرُوا لِرُؤْيَتِهِ. One additional point I would like to make before we complete. If the moon is sighted by any country in the east, if the moon, and we all intelligent people, we can understand this. The moon moves from the east to the west. If the moon is sighted in any country in the east, then every country to the west of that country should be able to sight the moon. If this country states they sighted the moon, any country, just say for instance, we say Saudi Arabia has sighted the moon. They have sighted the moon. If we say that, then every country after Saudi Arabia should be able to sight the moon. Because every hour the moon is growing 1 hour bigger, 1 hour larger, 1 hour the moon is growing. So every country after that, if Saudi sighted, Egypt should sight, Libya should, Algeria should sight, Morocco should sight, and then obviously coming over the ocean, Atlantic Ocean, coming into America, every portion should be able to sight, because the moon is becoming larger and larger and larger. Is that happening? Is it not happening? We need to find out what's the reality of the situation. Don't just be, sheep following something and just hearing what is happening. See the reality, and we have a deen in front of us. We have Quran and we have hadith, the sunnah of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, on which we need to be firm. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us the tawfiq of understanding. Jazakumullah khair.